Hi everyone! Today we're going to be talking about writing linear equations. Our objectives for today are that you will be able to write linear equations given a point and the slope, and you will be able to write linear equations if you're given 2 points. Let's get started. When are we ever going to need to write linear equations? Well, here's an example. So, medical insurance companies often require their customers to make a copayment for every doctor's office visit in addition to an annual, meaning once a year, insurance premium. If an insurance company charges $2,280 annually, so once a year, and requires a copayment of $35 per doctor's office visit, then the linear equation y equals 35x plus 2,280 is a linear equation that we wrote that represents the total annual cost, or which we'll say y represents, for x number of doctor's office visits. Later on in life, when you're having to pay your own medical insurance, you will need to have this figured out so you know exactly how much you need to budget every year. All right, so writing linear equations if we're given a single point and the slope. So to write a linear equation given the slope of the line, which we'll say m represents, right, and a point that passes through it, which we'll call x1 and y1, we want to use the point-slope formula. The point-slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so that is a formula you're going to need to memorize. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we call this the point-slope formula. All right, so examples. Number 1, we're given a single point and the slope. So it's in the name. If we're given a point and the slope, we're going to use point-slope formula. So the point-slope formula, if you recall, is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what we want to do is label everything. -1 is our x1, 7 is our y1, and -4 is our m. And then we're going to plug all of these in. So we're going to plug in -1 for x1, 7 for y1, and -4 for m. So our equation should look like y minus 7 equals -4, which is our m, times x minus x1, which was -1. Now we want to simplify where we can. So y minus 7 equals -4 times x minus a -1 is the same thing as x plus 1. Then we want to distribute. So we've got y minus 7 equals -4x minus 4. Then need a little more space here. Then we want to get y by itself. Our goal is to have our final answer written in slope-intercept form. So what we want to do is add 7 to both sides. These will cancel out and we're left with y equals -4x plus 3. So given a point and the slope, we were able to write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form. That's always our goal because that's the easiest. And you're done. And by the way, it's the easiest because from slope-intercept form, we can easily identify our y-intercept and our slope, and that's the easiest way to graph. All right, so now what do we do if we're just given 2 points and we want to write a linear equation? So if you're just given 2 points to write a linear equation, you are first going to use the slope formula, which I hope you all remember. Slope formula equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, followed by the point-slope formula, which we just learned. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so if we take our 2 points, we find the slope, then we take either of the 2 points, it doesn't matter which one, we take one of them. So we've got a point, and we take the slope we just found and plug it into the point-slope formula. All right, and we're going to do a few examples on how to do this. All right, so number 3, we're given 2 points and we want to write an equation of the line. First thing we're going to do is use the slope formula and find the slope. So label our points as x1, y1, x2, and y2. And then we're going to use our formula. So let's see, it should be a lowercase m. M equals our slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then we're going to plug all those values in. So y2 is 7 minus y1 is 1 over x2, that's our x2, negative 3 minus a negative 6. All right, then simplifying this, we get negative 7, or 7 minus 1 gives us 6. Negative 3 minus a negative 6 is the same thing as plus 6. So that's going to give us positive 3. And then 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. So our m is 2. Now we're going to take our m, and we're going to take our x1 and our y1. You can take x2 and y2 as well, doesn't really matter. All right, and now we're going to plug it into the point, or into the formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So plug in our values. Y minus y1 is 1 equals m is 2 times x minus, and x1 is negative 6. Give ourselves some more space here. Now we're just going to simplify. So we have y minus 1 equals 2 times x plus 6. Distribute on the right side, so we end up with 2x plus 12. Add 1 to both sides. So we end up with y equals 2x plus 13. And that's our final answer. We went from being given 2 points to now being able to write an equation in slope-intercept form. And that's our goal is to write an equation in slope-intercept form as our final answer. And we did it. All right, I want you to try number 5 on your own. So you're going to go from being given 2 points, and your final answer should be a written equation in slope-intercept form. So write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form as your final answer. All right, when you come back, I'll have the answer written on your screen, and we will go through it together. So go ahead and pause your video now. So you should have gotten y equals 1/3 x minus 25 over 3. Now, how'd you get there? So you start by labeling your 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we're going to find the slope of those 2 points. So we say y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We simplify everything, and we get positive 1/3. Then we plug in our slope for m, plug in our x1 and y1 into our formula, into our point slope formula. Simplify this, minus a negative number gives us plus 5, distribute to both terms. Then we want to move the 5 to the other side. When we're subtracting fractions, we've got to have a common denominator, so we change minus 5 or negative 5 to negative 15/3. Add the numerators together, negative 25 over 3, and that's our b. So that's how we get our final answer of y equals 1/3 x minus 25 over 3. All right, remember, if you have any questions, raise your hand, call me over so I can help you. Otherwise, let's move on to some word problems. All right, so linear equation applications, slope-intercept form. So we've got word problems, and our goal is to write equations in slope-intercept form. So number 7, a cab ride costs $4 plus $1.75 per mile driven. We want to write an equation to represent the cab fare, and we want to define our variables. So an equation we could write is we could say cab fare equals $4 plus $1.75 for every mile, or $1.75 times m. Now we want to write our equation in slope-intercept form, so we want to switch things around so it's in the y equals mx plus b form. So c equals 175 times m plus 4. And there's our equation, where c represents the cab fare. This is defining our variables. C is our cab fare, and m stands for the number of miles. Now, if Clay's destination is 17 miles away and he has $30, will he make it? So what we want to do is we want to plug in 17 for M, and we want to see if $30 is enough. So we're going to say his cab fare. What is his cab fare going to be if he needs to travel 17 miles away? So C equals 175 times 17 miles plus the $4 initial fee for the cab. All right. So 175 times 17 is going to give us $29.75 plus that $4. So his cab fare is going to cost $33.75 to travel 17 miles. If he only has $30, he does not have enough money. So the answer is no, he won't make it. He doesn't have enough money. All right, so we write that out. He doesn't have enough money. And we've got the work to support our answer. All right, so number 9. Number 9, we have a 22.5 ounce candle burns at a rate of 1 ounce every 5 hours. So the first thing we want to do is kind of try to translate this into something we can use in an equation. So we know that we're starting with 22.5 ounces, and it's burning at a rate of 1 ounce every 5 hours. So if it's burning at 1 ounce every 5 hours, that means every hour it's burning 1/5 of an ounce. So we can say 1/5 of an ounce times the number of hours, right? Because if it's 5 hours, that equals 1 ounce. Because 1/5 times 5 gives us 1. So if we want to write an equation to represent the amount of candle left, so we're going to say C, and C is going to stand for the amount of candle left. We're going to say C equals what we're starting with. We're starting with 22.5 ounces, and we're losing, it's burning off, so we're subtracting 1/5 of an ounce every hour. All right, so that's our equation where C stands for the amount of candle left and H stands for the number of hours. All right, so it's slightly different from the one we were doing before. The key is to translate the word problem into something you can turn into an equation. So how many hours will the candle last? What we want to know is how many hours until there's 0 ounces left, until the entire candle is burned. So how many hours, what is H when C equals 0? So we're going to plug 0 in for C. And then we're going to solve for H. Now, subtract 22.5. These will cancel out. We're left with negative 22.5 equals negative 1/5 H. Dividing by negative 1/5 is the same as multiplying by negative 5. So negative 5 times negative 22.5 is going to give us 112.5. So the candle is going to burn for 112.5 hours. And you're done. All right, the last example we're going to do together is a linear equation application involving standard form. So Kaylee has a collection of quarters and nickels. Write an equation to represent the total value of the coins. So we want to write an equation, and we're going to say that Q stands for quarters, N stands for nickels, and we're going to say T stands for the total value. So when we're talking about the value of coins, we have to remember that quarters are 25 cents, nickels are 5 cents, and we want the total value. So we're going to say that quarters are 25 cents, so 0.25 times the number of quarters, or Q, plus 0.05, which is the value of nickels, times the number of nickels equals our total value. And there's our equation that represents the total value of coins that Kaylee has. Now, if we know that the total value of the coins is $5.50, so this is our T, and Kaylee has 17 quarters, so 17 is our Q. How many nickels does she have? So that's what we're solving for. We're solving for N. We're going to plug what we know into our equation that we wrote. So we're going to say 0.25 times the number of quarters. We know she has 17 quarters, plus 0.05, we still don't know how many nickels she has, equals $5.50, the total value she has. So now we're just solving for N. We're solving for how many nickels she has. First thing we want to do is multiply 0.25 times 17, and we get $4.25 plus 0.05 N. Then we want to subtract $4.25 from both sides. Cancels out over here. We're left with 0.05 N equals 125. Then we want to divide both sides by 5 cents by 0.05. Cancel out over here. 125 divided by 0.05 equals 25. So we know that Kaylee has 25 nickels. And that's what the problem's asking us to find. So we're done. All right, so there are a couple more of the odd word problems in your notes. If you feel like you want some extra practice at any time, maybe tonight for homework or before you're studying for your test, highly recommend you do those even problems. All right, and I have the answer key and then the answers to all of the even problems. If you ever want to check with me at support or at the end of class, I have the answers to those. All right, but there will be word problems on your test, so make sure you know how to do those. All right, if you have any other questions, please raise your hand, call me over so I can answer your questions for you. Otherwise, look to the board to see what to do next, and I hope that you have a great day.